Hello, everyone. This is Heather with Magnificent Mommas and Magnificent Authors Podcast. We're joined here today with author Griff. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh gosh, such a long story, so little time. Pen name, author's name is Roy M Griffis. Never liked the name Roy. And then when I joined the Coast Guard, after about 30 seconds, I became Griff for the rest of my life. So pretty much that's how everybody knows me, I think.
Military names for sure.
Yes, ma'am. Got to shorten that last name, and there you go. I mean, at least they didn't call me like Scooter or something. So,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with Griff.
That's not a bad one.
No. Let's see. How much more do you want to know?
Whatever you want to tell us, this is your chance for people to hear about you and get to know you and your book.
Gosh, I started writing when I was 10. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. I actually started writing before that. My first short story was in 7th grade. Excuse me, when I was 7, I moved around a lot. It's hard to keep track. When I was 7, and then when I was 10, we got shipped. My brother and I were shipped to my grandparents' house in Tucson. There's some domestic drama going on that they had to shield us from. I was already fond of reading, and I was an introvert, and I was kind of shy, and
Hey, that's something to be proud of. That's okay.
It made it tough fitting into the whole new school system. Like in the middle of the year, it was ugly. So I love to read, and so I went to a little used bookstore back when they had those. I already knew I like science fiction, so I saw on a shelf somebody had given up their entire series, and you may know these, of books by Edgar Rice Burroughs called the Princess of Mars series. And I knew Edgar Rice Burroughs' name because my dad and I we'd watched the Johnny Weissmuller Tarzan movies, and he was telling me, yeah, these were based on books written by this guy named Edgar Rice Burroughs. So anyway, I grabbed it. It was like, it must have been a quarter, right?
Oh, wow.
And I went back to, it was old, and I bantam paperbacks. I can still smell the old,
Yeah.
So I went back to my grandparents' house. I found some place where they wouldn't bother me, and I started reading. 10 hours later, I come back from Mars, a change. I just lifted my head up from the book, and it was like I'd been transported completely, totally. And I think part of it was that this was real magic. I mean, it'd taken me away from all my, stuff, family, all the dysfunctional drama. And I remember very clearly saying, that's it. I'm going to be a writer, because I wanted to do that. I wanted to do that kind of magic, and never look back. I've, like most writers, I've done all kinds of jobs. Janitor, a waiter.
That would be a hard one.
Oh, it's tough. You might as well just hand your paycheck over every week. But I was a rescue swimmer in the Coast Guard, which was awesome. I got to jump out of helicopters and get paid for it into the water. That was my own little swing at being Errol Flynn. All kinds of stuff. And right now I work in a corporate environment. But no matter what I did, seriously, since I was 10, I wrote. And everything I did was essentially to eat and not be a burden on society.
That's important.
Yeah, I thought I'd, pull my own weight. But I always wrote. I mean, even in the Coast Guard, I was on an 82-foot patrol boat. And I'd be doing like midnight watches where you're walking around making sure the boat's not on fire or sinking.
Yeah.
That only takes 10 minutes. And then you got 50 minutes to your next. I had an old manual typewriter in my locker, and I'd sit out there, and it was in the galley, middle of the night, typing very quietly on, plays and short stories and stuff. And I drifted into novels probably about 10 or 15 years ago. I really loved movies. Again, that magic thing.
Being transported.
Exactly. And it seemed to me that a good movie was the closest thing to a shared dream we were going to be able to do. A really good movie, like Star Wars when it first came out, or Indiana Jones, right?
Yes.
You're in a dark room with like 500 strangers, but you're all kind of having the same emotional experience. You laugh, you cry together. I said, wow, that's really cool. And I said, I want to do that too. Along the way, I was writing poetry and short stories, and this is so long ago. I was sending them magazines, and I drifted into plays and won a few local awards, which was nice. I mean, I wasn't like I was making any money, but I would get just enough encouragement to make me say, okay, I can do some more. And eventually I got to the point where I was able to spend a year in Hollywood. I was a member of the Writers Guild. I'd sold a TV movie to Fox, Fox Television, back when they did that sort of thing.
Oh, wow.
And then they fired the vice president at Fox, and all the projects went in the trash, including mine. I had to kind of look. By then I was, I must have been 38 or something, and I had to kind of look at what I was doing, and I was a single dad. I really busted my ass. I just couldn't really convert after a year. And then, the TV movie money ran out. And I just had to, it was tough because I had to unplug my ego. There was a lot of ego involved for a long time about, I'm a writer. I kind of looked around. I said, I gave it a good shot. It was like with the Rescue Surnames thing. I said I was a geek, total drama, English geek in high school, never did anything physical. And I am precocious in one way, is that I have my midlife crises about every 25 years. So age 25, I'm divorced, nothing happening to my writing as much as I want.
Wow.
So I said, so I need a challenge. I joined the Coast Guard, and then I found out about the Rescue Surnames thing. And what attracted me, there may have been some suicidal ideation, I'm not sure. But what attracted me was that they said it was the second toughest school in the Navy. The program was so new, the Coast Guard didn't have their own school.
Yeah.
They sent me to a school in Pensacola. They're like 12 coasties and 40,000 squids. It was awesome. But what the challenge was, I said, wow, second toughest school in the Navy. That sounds like the kind of personal challenge
That you're looking for.
Exactly. And it only took me another 40 years to realize I was looking for a rite of passage. Because I didn't have one. When you're there, or when you're, sort of an adult or a man or whatever, well, that became my rite of passage. But when I did it, I went in saying I would rather, when I went to that school, terrified though I was, I said, I would rather die knowing I tried than die wishing I had even tried.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of the same thing about the running. So at 38, I've gotten so close to my dream, and it was not to be at that point in time. And I told myself, you gave it a good shot, man. You didn't just talk about it. You did this stuff, you did all this stuff. You've written a lot of stuff that people like, but not enough to give you money for. And I said, well, the kid needs toys for Christmas and, health insurance and all that stuff. I said, okay,
Yeah.
I guess I got to put this aside. And, then I started going to school at night or PC stuff, because I had a little aptitude for that. But about the last 25 years, I've worked in corporate America, one way or the other, running IT help desk, right? But I'm still writing. And, but my experience in Hollywood kind of burned me out a little bit, because many of the stories they tell you about Hollywood are true. And I think the one that broke me was this. I wrote a really good script, and that's a whole nother story. It was so good, in fact, that hand to God, 20 years later, it won a national screenwriting award. Same script.
Awesome.
But it just didn't get bought. People liked it, but whatever. So, but it's about American POWs in the Korean War. Stop me if I'm babbling. I'm just
No, you're okay. I'm just repositioning myself a little bit.
Okay, you're moving. So it's about American POWs during the Korean War, and what I learned about Hollywood is, you pitch something or somebody. It's much rarer for people to actually read your script, but somebody reads your script. A production company thinks it sounds good. Maybe it'd be good for Steven Seagal if you changed a bunch of crap, and I really wasn't interested. But you would always get what they called notes.
Mm-hmm.
And those were typically from lower level, let's say 25-year-old MBAs. And they're really dialed into whatever's a hot trend, whatever's going on. And so, and I remember one said to me, said, "Hey, great script, love the work. Okay, but I got to get back to you." Okay, what's going on? So, well, I've got to find out if it's okay to make the North Koreans the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, this is the Korean War. The Koreans. are the invaders? And anyway, and so I just kind of that burned. But I couldn't stop writing, you know. And then I just sort of by accident drifted into novels because didn't get notes. You know, I didn't get notes from 25-year-old MBAs who didn't really know much except what was trending.
Yeah.
So yeah, starting about 50, or 48, 50, whatever it was, I just kind of drifted into writing novels. And my first one was an alternative history that imagine what would happen to America if Al-Qaeda got their act together and hit us at the same time.
Oh, man.
And then after that, I started this historical fiction series called By the Hands of Men, which I thought was going to be one book. This would have been my second book. The first book was sort of a Rashomon series of basically short stories. This was this one idea I had for By the Hands of Men about a Russian nurse who meets a wounded English lieutenant near the trenches in World War One, and they fall in love, and things happen. And I thought it was going to be one book. Yeah, there's critics everywhere. It's really hurtful. But I thought it was going to be one book. That's how little I knew. Well, it turned out it became like six volumes, 500,000 words. Took about 6 or 8 years to write. Good book. People like it.
That's what matters.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I was happy with it. And then I needed to take a break because that was been a lot of work. We'd also moved from California to this little town in Texas where I live now. We bought a falling down old historic home, and we were renovating that. And I was starting a new job, so I needed a break. I still managed to finish the 6th book, which I was really happy with the way it turned out.
Yeah,
I was smoked, and so I was like, okay, just chill, watch some bed,
take a breather for a minute.
Yeah. And just about the time I was ready to start, jumping back into something, I've always got all these ideas. It's just getting blocked is not ever my issue. I don't know why, but I was just about ready to jump back into my whatever the next project was going to be when my high school girlfriend died suddenly.
I know.
We'd stayed in touch. She was like, first love, biggest fan. And, my brain was saying, hey, you got another 20 years to be sending her unrequested manuscripts and, short stories and where you got. But anyway, her life had gone off the rails, and, she kept that pretty well hidden from me and a lot of other people. And then she just kind of died, and, mental illness just jumped on her both feet. So it was pretty shocking and really sad.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was strange. I would not have expected it to kick my slats in the way it did. Anyway, there's a whole nother story about the apparent unfairness of life and all that. And so, and then 6 months later, my mom died from Alzheimer's. And I said, man, I can't write anything. And finally, about a year passed where I wasn't crying every day over, one thing or another. And
it's hard.
It was surprising. It's one of those emotional things that snuck away. Hey, but I said, man, I got to write again because I really enjoy it, and I discover things, and learn things. But I said I can't write anything serious. I just can't. And and like I said, I have ideas all the time.
I know what that's like.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So it's, I have to adjust my medication or something, but, I had a really weird idea one day, reading resumes for a job. This is back when you get 90 resumes for an opening. And so, and everybody was a thought leader. That was sort of the term of the time. I'm a network engineer. I'm a thought leader. And I read enough of it to go, wow, that's a really meaningless phrase. I do interpretive tap dance. I'm a thought leader or whatever it is.
Yeah. And
so I just sort of, again, idly wandering as my mind does, I just said, what would be a more vacuous title somebody could put in a resume than thought leader? And just out of nowhere, this phrase came to me: the blithering excrescence from beyond the stars. And I went, okay. So the next obvious question is, who did this guy work for before, or girl?
Yeah.
And then the only obvious answer was, well, he worked for the Cthulhu organization. And that just kind of stuck with me. And it was so, clearly silly. And I just one day, I just sat down and wrote like a 4-page opening scene of this poor schlub, because everybody in any organization, and we all know this because we've been around, any organization needs support staff. You got to have the HR people, somebody's ordering the toilet paper and writing the travel, whatever. So I just thought, who's like supporting the Cthulhu organization to achieve their malign, evil, mysterious ends? And in the Lovecraft world, there are these critters called the Shuggoths, which right are kind of the slave race or whatever. They build things, and I just imagined, well, obviously this would be like really the least important guy in the Cthulhu organization. So I just wrote from the point of view of this Shuggoth working in HR, which stands for human restraint in their role. Nice. And I just wrote 4 pages, and I just enjoyed it. It was just nuts. It was completely nuts. He was just sitting there and his Shuggethness in a grotto and a bones of a hangman chair, and he's got a 14-limbed assistant outside, and he gets a call from his uncle, who they call Uncle Beef Bits, but his real title is the blithering excrescence from beyond the stars. And this guy's terrified. It's like, oh God, what does my uncle want? And so, he's insecure, but he's interested in humans. And his uncle calls and says, they got a job for you. And the guy's, oh God, oh. And his uncle wants him to go down to Earth and check out some troublesome humans.
Uh-oh.
And then our hapless Shuggoth, who likes to think of himself as sort of an academic, like many of us, he has a day job and he has dreams of better things. And he gets stuffed into the body of a human, and there's a local guide. They're going to give him a local guide, and he has to figure out first how to be human, and then what he's supposed to be doing, because he got a terrible briefing on his way out. So in a way, it's sort of a cosmic, a little bit of a cosmic John le Carré, in that we got a guy who's being sent out on a mission that he's totally not prepared for.
Yeah.
So I just started writing this stuff, and my challenge, the challenge I gave myself with this novel was I said, whatever, I'm just going to write it completely goofy. If something makes me chuckle, laugh, smirk, I'm going to put it in no matter how stupid.
Yeah.
I really needed to be amused, and I had to amuse myself. And that was the first book in the Cthulhu Amalgamated series, called The Thing from HR.
That's awesome, though. Like, I don't know. I'm a nerd, though, so I love stuff like that. My favorite movie is Star Wars, so.
Sure. Yeah, no,
The originals.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We don't talk about those other. Yeah. And so now I just turned in the 4th book in the series to my publisher, and small indie sci-fi fantasy publisher, and it's gonna be time pretty soon to start another novel. But yeah, and that is I was telling you, I think I told you this earlier. This is why I don't have a writing career, is because I can't write the same thing over and over and over.
Well, I mean, that makes sense, though, because your mind just goes in different directions and topics, and I can completely understand that. I don't know if anyone else will, but I write, and I get it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you go on Amazon and you see, and here's my 32 books of the reverse harem shape-shifting sloth. And like I said, I would just have to kill myself. I couldn't be that guy. So whatever I do next is going to be, I mean, I enjoy my Cthulhu stuff. Are you an indie publisher? You right? Have you published your stuff independently,
My
self-published?
stuff is through Amazon Kindle Vella right now, just because that writing way works better for me.
Right. Well, the cool the cool thing about being self-published that way, first, like I said, you don't get the notes.
Yeah.
It's like on us. But it's cool to hear from the readers. My email is all over my website and my books, and I've gotten emails from people like in New Zealand and Australia telling me how much they like this stuff, and they're kind of like, yeah, and they start telling me their stories too. I got one from a guy who was like a 16-year-old member of the Dutch West Indies militia during World War II.
And just reaching out like to you, I feel like that's something that people don't do as much, like by email or something.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, yeah, but nowadays I feel like it's just social media, liking it or sending you a message on socials saying, oh, your book was great. But like taking the time to compose an email is just on a totally different level, I feel like.
Yeah. And also the reviews. The nice things, you see the reviews on Amazon, and people say some nice stuff.
I was just going to say, I think if people, even if only a couple people read it and love it, it's worth it,
Yeah. And it took me a long time to get there to that point. But I agree. And just seeing, for one thing, it's just seeing that somebody was moved by your words. Like, okay, I sort of succeeded in what I was trying to do. And then, I get the 1-star review, which called The Thing from HR Trash. It's like, obviously this was not your book. You weren't feeling this, but that's okay. Other people love it and they laugh. And that's fine. Yeah. But that is a cool part. So if any of you guys out there think about self-publishing, that is one of the cool things about it, is you get to hear from readers, and that's really neat.
I don't know. I haven't really marketed my books yet or really promoted, because I'm focused on what I'm doing right now, which is helping the authors and everything. And when I'm to the point where I'm ready to, I will. I think it's just so awesome, though, like when I'm connecting with each author and hearing their stories and how much their experiences are. It's just, I love it.
Yeah. Well, my thing is I resent the time marketing takes away from my writing, because, I do have the day job, and I get up pretty early most mornings, so I've got some time to write before I work. And that started, when I was 50, just because of, I had a 60-mile commute, and then sometimes I had to take my son to school and all that sort of stuff. And energy-wise, getting up at 4, that made it happen. So I would get up at 4, and I usually write for about 2 hours.
I think if I did that, I'd be like writing the whole rest of the day instead of my inspiration hitting me at nighttime and then waking me up for like the next couple hours to where, I'm tired and I got to go to sleep, but my brain won't shut off, and I have to get up out of bed just to write.
Yes. Yeah. But what I found, and, these, like I said, these are just all discovery. This is nothing, just like how to, the novels, I just sort of figured it out myself. But what I found was, the more I did it as a discipline, it I don't know if I think part of it was proving to myself I was serious about, saying, I didn't want to be someone who said I want to write a book. No, I was writing a book. But also just as a discipline, almost like training for an Ironman or something. You just doing it over and over and over, it kind of developed a different set of muscles. But it also kind of built that habit of, this is the time to actually write.
That's awesome, though. It really is. A thing that Stephen King said, a quote or whatever, where like if you start off writing just 6 pages a day, you'll have, a book done in no time, pretty much. Like it's not word for word like that, obviously, but.
No, you're right. And that's, how much of it is, again, it's like, use that image of training for an Ironman or something. There's a lot of long, tedious, boring stuff when you're training for an Ironman, which I did and failed. But I almost got that last run was killing me. But Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of self-motivation kind of has to go into it, which again is the other reason it's great to get the emails and to get the, the reviews.
Yeah.
I loved it. So, it makes it easier to get up at 4 a.m. Than you'd much rather sleep.
I guarantee it.
Yeah. But, I had a point there and I'm just lost. Okay. So we'll just pretend I'm not babbling now, but, yeah, but there it is. Like you said, about 6 pages a day, 3 pages. Same deal.
Anything.
You're right. It just starts to pile up. Do we have a message here? I see a little 2 there. Is it saying there's 2 of us talking?
That's just the 2 of us in here.
Hi, us. Yeah. But yeah, you do it consistently and it starts to pile up and go, hey man, I'm like halfway there. And it was just the same thing with starting a screenplay. You start a screenplay and you're like, oh my God, it's 120 pages. And I've only got one time. It's going to be forever. But you do it and you do it and you do it consistently and you start to knock them out.
That's awesome. I think, that's a really good piece of advice for aspiring writers.
Yeah.
That, take the time out of each day to write and not, be like, oh, well, I can do it tomorrow or I can catch up tomorrow or just making the effort.
Yeah. Discipline, I think, these SEAL guys are like motivational speakers now. One of the things they said is discipline equals freedom, which doesn't seem like it, but with this one, you can start to achieve a lot of stuff. And, it's that whole paradox. This one, oh man, where is the inspiration? Where is the creativity? Well, you're training yourself to sort of channel it. And then when you got that brilliant thing, you're pulling out some, even some little weasel piece of, notebook to write it down on. And then you keep on
the notebook that you have to keep near your bed.
Yeah.
With you at all times.
At all times. Right. But I mean, that's for when the lightning strikes. But lightning strikes, but then it's up to you to get out there with, the hammer and the tongs and the anvil, and start doing the work required to take that molten stuff and form it into something good.
I agree completely. You've really hit it head on, honestly.
Yeah, it's just years of failure. Learn from my failures.
It's not a failure; it's experience.
Years of experience of being told no, but no. Actually, and I was talking about the ego thing. That was I was serious about that. That was a real impediment to me for a long time. So my ego said, "Oh my God, I'm not anybody unless I'm a successful writer." Well, of course, my definition of success was living in Hollywood with starlets, rubbing coconut oil on my bald spot or something, right? But a lot of stuff happens, and the choices I made were good for me, and they were certainly good for my son. And
That's what matters.
And at the same time, I'm still holding true to myself and my dream, and I guess I think it's important to write for yourself first in a certain sense.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you want to write the 32 books of the, reverse their own sloth shapeshifter person. And with luck, your stuff will still find a market if it's well written.
Yeah.
And personally, I, don't write crap. Don't write ugly stuff. My own opinion, is
no, I agree.
It's easy to write ugly stuff. It's easy to write Quentin Tarantino, racist, profane, violent crap. The guy could not write a meaningful love story to save his life. He couldn't write something uplifting to save his life. That's tough. Mm-hmm. It is easy to be nihilistic, and that I got to admit, I've read some literature, but it just turned me off because so much of it was either thinly veiled autobiography, or a lot of it just had the sort of the underlying theme: life is awful, people are terrible, why bother?
Yeah.
Why read? I just, I just encourage people to try to write good stuff that's going to, I mean, you don't need to write propaganda or morally improving tracts, but you could write something that maybe makes somebody's life a little better, or
Makes them feel a little better.
Which is tough to do if you're writing about a hideous, gibbering thing from, the edge of space. But yeah, I think it's sort of like we have a power, right?
Mm-hmm.
Art has a power to uplift or debase, and we got a choice. We have a choice.
Yeah.
Which I hate the nihilistic stuff because oh whoa, the man is against me, patriarchy, or the fluoride in the water, all that stuff. Oh, it's against me. I'm powerless. I can't do anything. Dude, you're not chained to the wall of a North Korean prison.
Yes, be thankful for what you have and what you've got going on.
And you have the ability to make choices. Choices cost. Now that's your step into maturity and adulthood.
Yeah.
Each choice has a cost. It's going to cost time or money. And but you can't say you can't, that you don't have a choice. You can't change things, and that stuff sort of annoys me personally because you change your story, you're going to change your life. If people act as if and this is a sociological thing I read that I thought was so true. He said people act as if the things they believe are true.
That makes sense.
It's just like, because you'd say, well, why would some kid in Watts shoot another kid for wearing the wrong color bandana? Because the shooter is telling himself a story that I'm a person who shoots somebody for wearing the wrong color bandana. That's a pretty useless story. Change your story.
Yeah. Don't be like everyone else either.
True. But that's it. Look at the stories we tell ourselves. Start there. And I'm really big on that because that's kind of what the rescue swimmer thing did for me. I talked about Rite of Passage. It changed how I saw myself. Damn, I may not be the fastest or the toughest, but I'm a lot stronger mentally than I thought.
That's important.
So maybe some of the, it made me start looking at some of the lies I told myself, and move beyond that. But I digress. I'm sorry.
You're okay. This has been interesting and it's been fun for sure.
Okay.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about your books? Like your recent ones, maybe?
Well,
you did kind of talk about it already a little bit.
Yeah. I did this thing from HR, and same thing. People were like, wow, I've never read anything like this. It was different, but I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't, I don't know what it was. I was staying at a hotel in Texas, and it's across the street from the Alamo. And they were talking about all these areas around here being haunted. And I don't know, something about that just took me. So then I wrote the second book, which people liked. And then I wrote the third book, which people liked, because they liked the characters. And I guess, I'm that kind. I'm not a guy who enjoys reading for the beauty of the language necessarily. I'm a story guy. I want to know what happens. And it's like, I want to go on a journey with people I like or can possibly like or learn something from, So so people really like my two main characters. They like Narg, the Shuggoth, and they like his native guide, who was a dead surfer from California in the 70s. They like those two characters and the way they were. So I've written 4 books in the series, and it's probably wrapped up for now. I mean, I've got other ideas I can race off with, but they're, like I said, I call them Lovecraft with laughs, which is not words you often see close together.
Yeah.
And that was also fun because I was like, how can I look at this differently? And I got to channel my inner autistic to tell it from the Shuggoth's point of view, because he has this really bad education in humans, it's very out of date, and he's got so many misconceptions. So he's got to learn about humans all over. So I got to sort of look at how people behave and try to put it in, and then how would I see this? So, but they're picaresque. There's wordplay. There's bad jokes. There's the occasional nude co-ed. There's horror. There's but not a lot of really gross. Not really slavering things hinted at. But mostly it's just kind of it's sort of the hero's journey. He's our everything hero. It's his journey, right? And so I just wrapped that up. Just to publisher yesterday morning, and I was pretty happy about that.
All your books sound interesting, and like I know that sounds really lame, but like it really does.
So okay, so you said my what else am I going to do? It's a funny thing about me is I don't like anybody. Okay, when I'm writing, and by the way, all you young writers, this is how it works for me. You may be different. I've discovered, again, over 13 books, I've sort of figured out how I work, is that I need a beginning, image, incident, or whatever, and I need the end.
Mm-hmm.
And once those line up, which is exactly what happened with By Hands of Men, I had one idea from when I was 22, another idea from when I was about 30, and then when I was 50, they happened to drift into line. Beginning, end. And that's why I thought of one novel. This is how little I knew. 500,000 words later. So what I found is the way I work is I start at the beginning and I fight my way to the end. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I just do it.
So you're not like an outliner or anything like that?
Beginning, end, hack my way through the wilderness of my subconscious and find my way. Yeah. But the other thing is, I don't like to tell anybody anything about what I'm writing. It annoys the hell out of my wife. Bless her heart, she loves to read my stuff, and she'll want to know.
Do you do it just to like build the suspense, or?
No, actually, again, ego, right? I want them to be utterly and completely surprised when they read it.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil anything. Just like my publisher, I told him one thing about this book, one line that I thought was too funny not to share, and but other than that, he has no idea what the story's about. And I do that. I don't know why, but I've done that for all my novels. It's like I just really want people to be surprised. I don't want them to say that. And also, I'm giving you, this is gold, guys. Listen up. You young writers out there, or you older ones, I would say don't talk about your stories. Do not, because you'll talk them to death and you won't write that down. So that one's free.
Like during the writing process,
or before, you'll be. And I know supposedly some people do that. They talk about it and they work out all this stuff, and maybe that works for them. But what I found is that it like deflates the energy or something. You got a great idea, keep it to yourself till you get done. When it's on paper or in your Word document, then it's done. Otherwise, you will just kill it.
That makes sense, I guess. I don't know. I talk about what I'm writing to my daughter, but that's kind of different. It's not anybody else that's gonna read it or knows the characters or knows what's going on.
Yeah. Well, you said you're writing with like Kindle Vella.
Yeah.
So you're writing up in a similar genre? Are these like interconnected stories? What's that about?
Interconnected stories, sci-fi, fantasy. It pulls in like mythological and folklore creatures.
Okay.
And also there is, I'm trying to do it without giving away.
I understand. Just gives so they are sort of linked in a certain way. Sort of.
Yes. And then
the same world, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
But well, yeah, kind of. So like, there's also the ancient gods from different religions that
Mhm.
have something to do with a lot of these people.
Right.
Um, I'm not going to elaborate too much
Oh,
because
no,
I'm gonna
really?
give it away. But yeah, it's cool. I've I do a lot of research on stuff,
Mhm.
and I'm constantly learning something new. So I've got to draw the line sometime and be like, okay, just write and don't worry about that. And
Yep.
don't look up everything. I don't need to know everything.
Oh yeah. No, I love research too, and then and you can lose an entire morning
Oh
because
yeah.
one thing, at least with other, it's yeah, research rabbit.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know. I think part of who I am is that like I love researching, I love genealogy, I love ancestry type stuff, and then history, like so just research in general, like on anything. Like my grandfather was a history teacher. He was in the Navy. Like I just love it. I love history. I love writing. I love reading. I wanted to be a teacher like him. I
Right.
like how you know, opened up so much and shared so much about your life and your interests and your books, and it was just really special.
Yeah. Apparently, I can't shut up. Uh,
No, I did not say that at all.
my books are on Amazon under Roy M Griffis, and my website is roymgriffis.com.
We'll make sure to share your links as well on our website so people can see them.
All right, Miss Heather. Well, thank you very much. It's been fun.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
All right, and yeah, will talk to you again.